This is the Royals POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Kansas City Royals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in to the Royals POSTCAST on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chance Liebau, and I'm here to bring you reaction to every single Royals game the rest of the way. You can follow me on Twitter or X at Chance Liebau. That's at ChanceLiebau. Or if you're watching live and you don't want to have to type all that out, it's right by my name tag here on the live stream. If you are not here live and you can't make it live, do not worry. These episodes will always be uploaded for you to listen to on demand wherever you get your podcasts. I want to say thank you for making the Locked On Royals podcast or the Royals POSTCAST your first listen of the day. Before we get started, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on our notifications so that you get an alert whenever we go live. Thank you so much for joining the show, and feel free to join the live chat and let me know your thoughts on the game, and I'll do my best to respond to the plenty of comments that we're already getting. You guys are showing out in troves, especially with the fact that the Royals are victorious. They win the series against the Cleveland Guardians 52-54. I mean, that's about as good as you can ask for from a team that you look back to this season, you look back in the month of July. I mean, let's just look at it. The month of July has been a lot kinder to Kansas City than the month of June was. They split in Seattle. They won the series in Arizona. They swept the Pirates. They lost 2 of 3 with the Mets. Then they lose 2 of 3 with the Marlins. They win 2 of 3 with the Cubs. Now they win 2 of 3 with the Guardians. They have split or won every series but 2 here in this month of the season. So for the Royals, if you want them to compete, and I know that I'm one of the few, I guess, in this chat, there's a lot of people that are Debbie Downers that have the pitchforks up and say, well, let's sell everybody, let's fire sale this. They're closer to competing than you think they are. If you take out that disastrous month of that disastrous month of June, in which they went something like 9-18 or 9-20, where they were just downright terrible. If you take that month out, the Royals are in a playoff spot. But obviously, you can't do that. You can't just strip a month away of the season, so it gets a little bit more difficult. But the Royals are a lot closer to contending than you might believe. Now, there were some things that happened off the field the last 2-3 days that have moved them a little bit farther away from that contention window, and we'll obviously talk about that and what is next the Royals here in a little bit. But let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with what you'll be talking about. Sorry.
This is what you'll be talking about.
That one's the right button. Okay. Noah Cameron was really good today. I mean, I was listening to the game on the way back from church, and it sounded like disaster could have struck very soon. I mean, very similar to what we saw from Kris Bubic yesterday. He gets the bases loaded in the top of the first inning. You get a single, a hit by pitch, and then an infield single. And then you're thinking, okay, here we go again. The Royals just can't get out of their own way. And Noah Cameron, who, man, he's not a guy that I'd want on the bump in game 1 of a postseason series. But with my back against the wall, down 2-1, maybe an elimination game for my team, if I had to eeny, meeny, miny, mow it, I'm picking Noah Cameron to be the starting pitcher for my team, because that guy pitches like his back is up against the wall every single outing. And he did it against Chicago. It was an outing that, didn't go great to start, gave up 4 in the second. And then you're wondering if he's even going to be able to get through 4 innings. He goes through 6. And then today, slow start, rocky start, bumpy start against an offense that hits lefties pretty decently. And what do? Well, they don't get a run in the first inning. They don't get a run in 5 innings against Noah Cameron. He was spectacular. Gave up 5 base runners in total through his 5 innings, struck out 6. And he was not getting the call very often. He was getting a tight zone pretty much all day long. And seeing him do that, I mean, the Royals are in a tough position now with their starting pitching staff. They have a ton of starting pitching that's either going to be on the injured list or is on the injured list. So things are getting a little bit concerning for the Royals as a pitching staff. But if there's one thing that you can count on, it's Noah Cameron giving you 5 to 6 innings of tough, gritty pitching. That's what Noah Cameron gives you on a night in, night out basis. And for a rookie that was pretty much a non-prospect heading into last season that has done what he's been capable of doing, he has exceeded all expectations that I could have had for him this season by far. I didn't expect him to be this good. Maybe a mid-threes, high-threes ERA, innings eater. But for him to be going into next season as your 3, more than likely, 3 or 4, and that's a really good number 3, I don't think I could have even seen that coming with what we had, especially with the Royals not really knowing what they were going to get out of him. The pitching staff being as banged up as they have been. I mean, credit to him and credit to this pitching development staff. I mean, that's the one reason that I'm comfortable with them moving any pitcher in the system. And I mean any pitcher in the system. Maybe David Shields is the one guy that you'd mark as untouchable. But they can develop pitching with the best of them. I don't think there's an organization in baseball, maybe 3 organizations in baseball that are better at developing pitching than the Royals are, which is why you're more comfortable moving off of some guys. But, man, that was a really tough, gritty outing for Noah Cameron and just continues to prove his worth. He's worth his weight in gold. He has been really good this season, and they needed that from him today. I mean, he's kind of like that Lugo was last year, and we'll talk about Lugo here in a little bit. But I would imagine that Noah Cameron is a lot like Seth Lugo in the fact that you throw him the ball with a rubber match, and you have a confidence in him that he's going to give you one of the best outings you could ask for. And they got that today from him. 5 shutout innings, 6 strikeouts, ERA down to 2.44. I mean, he's been everything they could have asked for, especially with all the injuries and everything. Can you imagine where the Royals would be right now if they didn't have him and they were as banged up as they are right now? We'll talk about that in a little bit. Before we start talking about, what's next for the Royals, the offense wasn't great. They stringed together just 4 hits on the day, but they walked 7 times. They showed really good plate discipline against some, I don't want to say solid pitching, but, probably the JV bullpen for the Guardians. Joey Cantillo wasn't sharp, and the bullpen was, a lackluster one because Clase and Gaddis and, oh man, I'm forgetting the other right-hander that threw yesterday that was a rookie last year, but they were all spectacular yesterday, and they all threw. I know Gaddis and Clase both threw in both games, so they were probably unavailable going into today, and the Royals were able to build enough of a cushion to rely on their bullpen in the late going. So credit the Royals for winning another series. It's been a long time coming, but it's going to be really interesting to see if the Royals are able to continue to stretch this together. They have to start sweeping teams. I know that NMO saying we need to sweep the Braves. They've got to start sweeping some teams. They can't do this, one game at a time thing. I get that. They've got to get hot, like hot, because they're chasing some teams that have the ability to get hot. And the Royals just haven't been able to do that in a while. So I know there's some people in the comments right now talking about the Seth Lugo contract and the Seth Lugo, market. And we'll talk about that and just what I see from the Royals coming up here when we come back. It's the Royals Postcast. Ever wish that managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. You can track things like dining out, food delivery, online shopping, and much more. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. And today's episode is also brought to you by Gameday Hue. Gameday Hue makes clean, no logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you. No giant logos, just smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the course, or anywhere in between. I love rocking it on the course. It's subtle, stylish, and I can still rep my team. It's the kind of hat that reps your team without screaming it. Subtle, but still says everything. And it's not just hats. Check out their split shade gloves made for the golf course, or the perfect gift for the fan who has everything. Right now, you can get 15% off with code MLB15 at GamedayHue.com. That's Gameday, HUE.com. The code even stacks on bundle deals. So now's the time to load up. Let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's GamedayHue.com, code MLB15. Okay, let's talk about the moves that were made today by the Royals and kind of where I see them heading for this final 4 days of trade ability. Because Kris Bubic went to the injured list today with a strained rotator cuff. I don't think Kris Bubic pitches again for the Royals this season. I think Kris Bubic is shut down for the season. I think that if they knew that Kris Bubic's shoulder was not feeling right before the game yesterday against the Guardians, they probably don't trade for Randal Grichuk. But now the Royals are in a position where I don't want to say they have to buy, but you cannot do what you just did. Go out and get Randal Grichuk and get Adam Frazier. And in my opinion, I like both of the trades. You trade two guys that are blocked and are probably never going to contribute for this team at a solid level for two significant upgrades in the outfield. So I think I was more so leaning that Seth Lugo is a Royal on August 1st. I was leaning that way earlier in the week, but Seth Lugo, I don't think you trade Seth Lugo. I don't think you can trade Seth Lugo because there is not another pitcher in the system. They are running out of arms. Cole Reagans is a ways away from coming back. I think that Luinder Avila is a ways away from being a major league pitcher. Rich Hill is a fun, goofy little Band-Aid, but it's a cheap Band-Aid. It's one of those Band-Aids that when you wash your hands, it comes off and you have to find another one. I do not think that they'll trade Seth Lugo, and if they do, they have to get a major league arm in return. And I don't think they want to do that. I think they want to use Seth Lugo. If they were to trade him, they want to use him to upgrade the outfield. Now you're looking at an opportunity where it's kind of like the Mike Moustakas trade where you got Jorge Lopez and Brett Phillips, who were both, former top 100 guys, but had fizzled out. Both were out of options. And so you were kind of stuck with two guys that for the sum of their parts were worth a Mike Moustakas. But at the end of the day, you're still relying on them to replace a Mike Moustakas. And in this case, it's Seth Lugo. If you're to trade Seth Lugo, you're going to have to take a little bit of a discount to get another major league arm, which I don't think a team like the Red Sox is willing to move off of. I don't think a team like the Cubs is willing to move off of. I think the Cubs have set their sights on Mitch Keller. I think the market for Seth Lugo is drying up because they see the Royals are looking to contend, and I just find it more and more unlikely, especially with Kris Bubic's injury. I find it very unlikely that the Royals trade Seth Lugo because they need him. If they are signaling, they are waving the anti-white flag. They are saying we are going to at least try to compete in this second half of the season. We're going to try to field a competitive team. And for me, someone who has to watch them every single game, heck, I prefer them to try to win. But they're not going to have a fire sale because they don't have the guys available to them to do just that. Jack Caglione goes on the injured list today. That is I don't want to say a big deal because Cags has really struggled at times this season, but I think that Seth Lugo is on the team in August, and I'd be shocked if he wasn't, especially with how well the Royals are playing right now. I know the record isn't indicative. They're 52-54, but they're playing good baseball. And I don't think that you send a message to this team that, I know we're losing some guys. I know we're banged up, but we're going to trade our best pitcher on the roster right now to go and get a C+ arm and a C- bat because we feel like we have to. They don't have to trade Seth Lugo. I think they are more than comfortable. And I think it was Josh Kaiser tweeted out on Twitter. It was talking about a thought from Jordan Foote, who I love Jordan Foote, one of the best tweeters out there. It comes down to, with the Royals system right now, do you trust Lonnie Goldberg and the scouting department right now to get you a solid return for Seth Lugo? Or do you trust Brian Bridges and the amateur scouting department better to get you something with a potential comp pick? Because they're going to offer Seth Lugo the qualifying offer. Seth Lugo is going to turn it down because $15 million is not enough for a guy like Seth Lugo. He's going to command $25 to $30 million on the open market. I'm telling you that right now. Maybe 30, 20 to 25 is what Seth Lugo is going to demand on the open market. And do the Royals want to compete for that? I think they absolutely could. Do they want to set their sights on something more attainable, like getting some outfield help? I think that's also in the bank. But I think that Seth Lugo is a Royal in August. I think the moves that they made today, putting Kris Bubic on the injured list, I don't think he pitches again for the Royals this season. I think we're more likely to see Dallas Keuchel in a Royals uniform than Kris Bubic this season the rest of the way, because I think that with a guy like Kris Bubic, who is entering a contract year next year, off of Tommy John already, has shown you what he's capable of. And what he's capable of is being a frontline starter, but the wheels started to turn off a little bit. The velocity was way down. The command was off. And that's been that way for a month and a half now. You're starting to see the results of, or the results from that. And so I'm thinking that Seth Lugo stays on the team, and I think Kris Bubic is done for the season. I don't want to make it official. I don't have any sources or anything, but a rotator cuff is a big deal. And for a guy that's fresh off of Tommy John and has not pitched well of late, I think the Royals are going to be more safe than sorry here with with Kris Bubic. And while I hate to see that, I love Kris Bubic. I think he's one of the better pitchers on this team. And when he's on, he is dominant. You have to play it safe because you have a team next year that you want to compete with. You can't go into next year and not know what you're going to get out of Kris Bubic. You have to know he's healthy going into next season. So if that means shutting him down for the season and rolling your dice with Dallas Keuchel or a guy that they pick up, like an Eric Fetty, who was just DFA'd, or somebody else, then so be it. But I think that they are put their backs against the wall. I don't think they can trade Seth Lugo. I don't think it was going to happen. I would have said that earlier in the week. I just don't think they trade Seth Lugo with how well they're playing. Back-to-back series wins. That doesn't send a good message to these guys that they want to compete or that they want to, I don't want to say tank, but they're kind of waving the white flag. So I'm optimistic that Seth Lugo will be a Royal in August, and I don't have any sources on that. You can freezing cold takes me here in a week, but I like the odds of Seth Lugo being a Royal for the 2025 second half of the season. Appreciate you guys for joining us here today. We will be back tomorrow around 9:30. Royals and Braves interleague matchup starting tomorrow, 6:40 first pitch. We'll be around 9:30-ish tomorrow when we'll get the Royals postcast. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Want to say thanks for making the Locked On Royals podcast and the Royals postcast your first listen of the day. We'll see you guys tomorrow night for another edition of the Royals postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network.